I'm going to go through this Waldorf math page that I'd like you to use for this week's look at numeracy and number in early childhood. In Waldorf education, everything is introduced differently and at different times. So I'm taking you to a first grade math page which has some things in it that will actually be connected to what we are often finding ourselves doing in early childhood. In a Waldorf school, early childhood is recognized as extending into age 8. So when you're in first grade, you're kind of in the tail end of early childhood. In our school systems, we have pushed that to earlier and earlier and earlier. And I know I've sent you information in the first half of the semester about why that has become problematic. So I just wanted to offer an explanation as to why I'm showing you first grade math in a Waldorf school. I hope that will make sense to you. In Waldorf schools, students make their own books, their own lesson books, and I'm going to show you examples of those and hope that this little explanation kind of helps you understand what are we really looking for in numbers and what's called numeracy in early childhood. And many times we think of math and activities in early childhood as counting, basically, or counting objects. So we want to move way past that and leave that behind and think more about how do young children develop a sense of number, of quantity. And I think if you just keep asking yourself that question, instead of how do we get kids to count, to learn to count things, counting things comes after you have a sense of quantity and numbers. So what I want you to do is open each of these PDFs here. And when you get to the four processes characters, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do this, the mental math games, because those would not be appropriate for early childhood. So don't do the process characters and don't do the mental math games. But the rest of them, I would like for you to open up and look at these and decide for each one what is something in there that makes sense to you about as in terms of an activity in early childhood. So they're not very long. Hopefully they'll make sense to you. I think that's all I want you to know for now. Here are some examples of the work that children do in their books that they make. You notice that they have a single number, and then here's a spider in the middle with 8 legs. So here's a tree. You notice this is a Roman numeral here. That's interesting. And in first grade, children in Waldorf schools use all 4 operations. That's why you see a division problem here. They don't do that until later in the year. And when I told you not to do the processes of operations PDF, that's what I meant. We would never do that in early childhood. So you notice for 7, it's the 7 colors of the rainbow, 10 for 10 fingers. So you'll notice that number and quantity is associated with things found in nature, which is what we talked about last week when we looked at patterns. So I wanted to point that out to you. Also notice that they draw things here to do their problems, their math problems. You would not do that in early childhood. You might do it in a kindergarten classroom though. So if you want to know more about that, let me know and I'll send you more information if you're planning to teach kindergarten. If you are planning to teach kindergarten, you really could look at some of these things that I've told you not to worry about for early childhood, like the mental math games or the process characters. Those might be of interest to you. So just pull one thing out of each of these and describe how you would see it making sense in an early childhood classroom. What I'm trying to do with this math study for you is give you very practical examples because there's there's a lot of information in the textbook about math that's really good. So I have assigned that. However, I want to make sure you also have some really good practical ways of looking at it.